I'm Selena Hill, and this is the new norm on Black Enterprise. On today's episode, I have the privilege to speak with Jackie Aina, a professional makeup artist turned YouTube superstar who has a passion for content that teaches, inspires, and gives confidence to women of color. A bold voice in beauty and fashion, Jackie is known for her insider tips, unapologetic glam, and signature humor and honesty. After launching her YouTube channel in 2009, she now boasts 3.47 million subscribers on YouTube, 3.1 million followers on TikTok, and 1.9 million followers on Instagram. Jackie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. And, like I said, you have millions of followers, people who have been following your journey for over a decade now. But for those who don't know or who may not be as familiar, what initially inspired you to become a content creator?
To be really honest, boredom and depression, like at its core, I first started on YouTube. And so this was like peak, like when things in the beauty guru era were really heating up, like early days, 2009. And I was like obsessed with consuming beauty content. But in 2009, I didn't see that many people that looked like me. And so this was when I was like first really exploring makeup, starting to like do it on other people. I had realized like I don't just like makeup on myself. I like doing it on other people as well. And so my best friend would tell me, well, if you're figuring out how to like finesse these looks on your complexion, people want to learn that too. Like, why don't you show people? I had no interest in being on camera whatsoever. I was like, absolutely not. Like the makeup artistry world was like your work was seen, but like you weren't seen as an artist. So it was kind of like really important to me to uphold that. Like it just didn't make sense to just turn on a camera and talk to myself. But to be honest, at that time, I was really going through a lot. And the community aspect of being online really pulled me in. Like that was the first, outside of like my best friend and like my immediate family. I was married at the time, not happily married. I wasn't really getting a lot of positive people pouring into that creative side of me, and being Nigerian, that's a whole other added level of like scrutiny you experience when you're trying to pursue a creative field. Even when you just like something, it's like when you're like African and creative, they're so academically driven. It's sometimes it's almost like you're not allowed to like do that. You know what I mean? Like there's so much focus on career and making money, and I just wanted to look good. Like I was just here for the
Hmm.
looks. So there was just so many different things working against me at the time, both personally, both professionally. And I just decided, you know what? I don't got nothing else better to do. So I started uploading these looks, and I didn't really like I thought it was just me being like, this is just a creative outlet for a creative outlet for me. I had no idea I had tapped into an entire community of women, and honestly, not just women, that were sick and tired of being told you can't wear that because it doesn't look good on your complexion. And I was teaching people how to do that, how to make things work for us. And it just like it was definitely a slow climb. So this was kind of like the days when like black girls weren't really going viral in the beauty space. So it was a very slow climb. But when I tell you I built that community brick by brick, and it just turned into the empire that it is today.
Such a beautiful origin story. I was listening to a podcast, and they actually said like boredom as an emotion is sometimes the starter we need because it forces us to do something differently. So I'm so glad that like the way you answered that question was like, oh, boredom and depression, because turning that pain into purpose is a thing, and sometimes we just got to do something. So you found this creative outlet, you start building this community, people start watching you because obviously you're a professional makeup artist, and that's where I learned how to do my makeup. It's on online. Okay. So like naturally you built
No.
that community. When did you know that, oh, you know what, I got something here, this is special?
I didn't feel like I could do something with this like as a profession until I gave myself an ultimatum. I was like in year 5 and I was living in Kuwait because I'm also a veteran. So I wasn't deployed in Kuwait. I had like a government civilian contract job. So I was living there and I was making the most money I'd ever made in my entire adult life. It honestly, looking back, was not even that much money, but it was a lot of money for me. And I didn't pay taxes. So I was just like working these 12-hour night shifts and putting money away. I wasn't saving. I didn't really have like a lot to splurge on at that time. And I was still doing YouTube. This is like year 4 or 5 for me. And finally, I was like, okay, half a decade, bro, like I need to either like pack it up or it's time to move on to something else cuz you still do this and you cannot even like quit your day job. And I loved social media, but I even then, this is like 2012, I even then had the foresight to realize you put a lot into this and you should either pursue it professionally or walk away because it's still an investment. Like camera equipment ain't cheap, makeup ain't cheap, product ain't cheap. These are all expendable things. So like lipstick runs out, foundations run out. You're constantly talking about these products and you're not really gaining anything from it. And you're still kind of like lost in figuring out your career. So I asked myself, I gave myself at that time permission to like ask myself, like, what do I actually want to do? And I realized I like the beauty world. I'm not making money from it, but I like doing it. So that was when I realized I'm going to either decide to do makeup professionally or social media professionally. I don't even know if I can do social media professionally, but I'm going to pick one and I'm going to at least try. I'm going to at least try because I feel like I would never be able to sleep at night if I didn't at least try. And so all the money that I had put aside while I was working that job and I had that come into Jesus moment, I said, okay, in order to make myself feel better, I at least need to go back to school and like take this beauty thing seriously. So I was like, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to get a cosmetology degree. If makeup and that profession takes off, amazing. If social media takes off, amazing. But at least there's some crossover and I'm at least doing something that I like. So that's what I did. I put all this money aside. I enrolled in Vidal Sassoon Hair School in California. I went to cosmetology school. I'm still licensed to this day. And around that time, because I was like in the field, I had more time to dedicate to doing content more frequently, really sitting down and focusing on like what do people actually like? Like before then I was just kind of like posting on a whim, like not really like I had like zero strategy. I had zero cadence. I had nothing. I had no guidance. And so yeah, because I was like pursuing the beauty world at that time, like I had a little bit more time to kind of dedicate to listening to my audience, learning what they like, learning what they dislike. And it was literally the same year that I graduated cosmetology school was the same year I had, or I think within the same time, like within a same year that I got my first viral video. And when I tell you this video went like viral, like it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. And it was the first time I stopped being customer service Jackie on YouTube and I actually started to like lift the veil and be myself. And that was when I had my first viral piece of content. And then I was like, wait, I think I just cracked the code. Like that's why stuff hasn't really been shifting for me. Like I hadn't really been myself. I still felt showing up online was like kind of embarrassing because
Yeah.
like all of my friends had graduated college. Like the year that I started YouTube was the year that all of my friends had graduated college. So I was dealing with that personal shift of being like, what am I really actually doing? Am I supposed to be doing this? Feeling a bit lost, feeling a little bit embarrassed because I hadn't like found myself. Mid-20s are rough. Like you start to like have hard conversations and then you're not making no money and you don't have like a steady like it was at a time where I felt like I had nothing going for myself. So I had to combat all of that and still turn on my camera and act like what am I doing? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it
So
was yeah.
what I'm hearing is that, you started, it was a hobby, a creative outlet. It took, you said, 4 to 5 years for you to first get that viral video, which is a long time, especially in like, as you're doing it year by year. and it was because of your authenticity. Like you decided to become more, show up more as you, and obviously people connected with that. Like,
Yeah.
what was it about that video that made it different from the other ones?
So to be clear, it wasn't the first time I had technically a video go viral in general. It was the first time I experienced virality that quickly. So I was talking
Mm,
about overnight virality. And then it created a snowball effect. So people weren't just watching that video, they were watching all of my other content that they could binge and catch up on, and then they were also subscribing to me. And what I think is that I found a really good way to merge something that was relevant. So it was talking about like beauty trends that kind of, it was basically like a roast video. And so it was relevant, it was funny, it was personality driven, but then it was also somewhat educational. So I taught people all of the fundamentals that they could come to expect on my platform in one video. Whereas previously, I wasn't necessarily targeting all of those things. It would just be a technical, I would just be teaching something, but it wasn't personality driven. So, like, that one piece of content would go viral, but then people were clicking off and not really like interacting with the other pieces of content. I don't know if that makes sense.
no, no, it definitely makes sense. And a question I have is, how are you able to sort of pull back the mask? Because I think for like a lot of folks, especially like content creators, once you establish yourself in a certain lane, or with a certain look, whether that's highly curated or funny or serious, it's hard to then do something else and show another side of you. So how are you able to do that?
It's so hard showing up being yourself. Like, it really actually is. It's crazy that that's, like, revolutionary, showing up being
Yep.
authentically yourself, but I kind of feel like it got to a point where it was like, I mean, you've done everything else, girl, like, you might as well, and it has not been hitting, so you might as well just be yourself. N Nothing else has really, like, hit for you, boo, so just be yourself, and the worst case scenario, if it's really cringe, if it's really embarrassing, just take the video down. Like,
Right.
things
Delete it.
don't live on forever. Now, mind you, this was before the like cancellation era. So and I didn't say or do anything worth canceling anyway, but it was like it didn't have the same snowball effect that like cringe content or the essence of cringe content does now. So like it was just like just do it and take it down if no one likes it. No one like no one's gonna beat you up. It's worth a shot.
Simple as that. So you convince
Exactly.
yourself to keep it up, it goes viral. Jackie, when did this hobby and creative outlet turn from a passion to a business? When were you able to monetize? When and how were you able to monetize this content so that it could become a full-time career?
I would say definitely around the time I started getting inquiries from agencies and managers, which was a whole different set of challenges I had to push past because when someone reaches out to you and they say, "We want to help you make more money, but you have to give me some of yours." You're like, hold on. What are you talking? What are you on? Who are you talking to? I'm not about to get got." So that was foreign language for me. Like, I did not grow up financially literate. I grew up in poverty, you know? And so being able to decipher what is considered a smart business move and all of those things, like those are things I had to kind of like learn on the fly. But I knew that once I started getting inquiries like that, that's when I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm onto something now.
Now, what year was this?
This was like 2016. 2016.
2016, so about 7 years after you launched your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So at
So
that
I'm
time,
very slow. I have a very slow which I think I'm really grateful for because if you really think about it, it was like 5 years to sum up the courage to be like, okay, am I going to pursue this full time? Then it took me actually like kind of a year or almost two after that to then do it. Then a year into that, managers and agents are calling you, but I didn't say yes until like the following year. So yes, very slow, very thoughtful, very let me think on that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like slow, very intentional thoughts went into the
yeah, I
steps that
mean, they say an
I
overnight success takes 10 years, so you're pretty much on track
yeah.
for that, and, you were one of the pioneers. of, content creation, YouTube superstardom. So, I mean, it makes sense. Um, since you were in that earlier era. So when were you able? So you said managers and agents, which I'm guessing were offering their services to help you secure more brand partnerships and more deals. So were you already getting those brand opportunities and deals and securing those yourself?
Not like by very much. So that's
Okay.
how I knew, yeah, this is probably a smart move. Like maybe they can help because I wasn't getting a lot of them on my own.
Mm.
Not enough to
So
like have a substantial amount of income.
got it. And then, so what made you trust these people who were like, "Hey, let me manage you and take 10 or 20% off the top of every deal we secure for you."
Yeah, so being in community with other creators who were more established with me, like as I continued and began to grow, I started to meet other creators. Living in LA really set me up in the most amazing way to be able to do that, which is really great. I think had I lived like in a small town where a lot of people didn't do this, probably would have come with a different set of challenges. But no, like just meeting my peers and asking them like, who is this? What does this mean? And they'd be like, oh yeah, they're reputable. Or they'd be like, I don't know about that one. I've never heard of them. So just asking questions, never being ashamed of stepping into a space or having a conversation with someone and being like, I have no clue what this means. Like, can you give me some advice? I think that definitely made a huge difference.
Amazing. And, speaking of brand partnerships and opportunities, I want to talk about that. Brings me to the next question, which is your brand partnership with Myel. We see you rocking the beautiful curls, all natural. Okay. Love it. Love it. And you've definitely been someone who's been showing your natural beauty and natural hair on your social platforms as well. Been very proud and loud about that. So talk to us about just like, how did this come about where you have this major partnership with Myel?
Yes, this was really special for me because it's the first like hair care brand partnership that I've done in my entire career span at this magnitude. And I've been very cautious to navigate the natural hair space because as a black woman, it's hard showing up as yourself, especially with natural hair. And so I never wanted to put so much of myself out there to where I'd be subjected to like hurtful comments or like memes because people online are mean. And so, I would dip my toe with the hair space, but I wouldn't get too flooded. Like I would give people a taste, but people started to really respond well. And I started to realize like, okay, there's a big need for like positive conversations around hair. I'd rather focus on that. I'd rather focus on that. And as with anything in the beauty space, I focus on products that I like. I naturally gravitated towards Myel. They never, at that time at least, but like they didn't send me product. Like it was my sister who kind of put me on. She was like, oh, they're having a sale. Go check them out. So I was like, all right. So I did. And I was like, hold on. My hair really likes this stuff. So I just naturally started to get into the brand and I would organically and naturally post about it. And then eventually, when the Kalahari melon and aloe vera collection came out, that was when they reached out and told me that they basically wanted me to be like the face of it. And I was like, oh, like I might have did fine. I was really excited because it was so organic. Like and as with anything, anytime I put my stamp of approval on something, I'm like, wait, I do have to try it first. But
Yep.
but I led with this is already a brand I trust anyway. So like it's got to be amazing. So that's exactly what I did. And then once I tried it, felt confident and grew to love the collection on my own. That was a go, and it just merged so beautifully and effortlessly.
Amazing. And for those who don't know, Myel is a Black owned hair care line founded by Monique Rodriguez, a beautiful Black woman, friend of Black Enterprise as well. And, we've watched that brand just sort of skyrocket over the last few years, following the acquisition and other history making benchmarks. And to see, just to see again that authentic tie back to the community and that partnership that you have with Myel, I think speaks to just like the intentionality behind the brand and making sure that they stay true to their core and to their essence. So talking more about the Kalahari line, which is the new line of Myel. I know that you did create a video where you were, showing the products and testing the products. If you could just talk to us about like, why was it important for you to showcase it in that way, and what is it that you really, how do you feel connected to the brand and that line?
I feel connected to the brand first and foremost because the products eat down. Like the stuff needs to perform. And I noticed an immediate difference between, so I'm a wash and go girly for context of any viewers don't know what that means. I basically wear my hair in its natural state. I don't tend to like do braid outs or twist outs. Like my hair just doesn't really care about that stuff. It just doesn't respond well. And I typically will do like a wash and go that'll take me like 6 to 8 hours. It's a
Mm.
full it's
Girl,
the
I know about that.
shampoo. Yeah, girl. But here's the thing though, a long wash and go day affords me a 5 to 10 minute hair care routine for the following week. So I just kind of go through it because that gives me 5 to 10 minutes of getting ready every single day after that. It's the one day of just really tedious and really piecemeal application process, but it's fine. I power through. But I know exactly what my hair tends to do by day 4. I know exactly what my hair tends to do by day 5. Usually by day 5, it's time to wash. When they first let me try the Kalahari Melon collection, and I started to realize my hair on day 7, 8 still looked and felt like a day 2 wash and go. I was so confused and shocked because I was like, wait, like the fact that my hair still feels, not just looks, but still feels as fresh as it does on day 2 hair kind of had me gagged. Like I was like, oh wait, like immediately yes. And then I was like, maybe it's a fluke. Let's try for the next wash and go cycle. And my hair did the exact same thing. So immediately I knew this formula is different and I can't use everything on my hair type. And I don't want to use everything on my hair type. So when my hair likes something, I tend to stick with it. I'm not like the days of like being a product junkie, I'm over them. I don't buy anything and everything that hits the market. I tend to like not really try everything new. It gets exhausting and then it gets expensive and then you end up with a cabinet full of dusty products that you're not going to use. So when I like a brand and a formula, especially a brand that invests in really good formulas, when something my hair responds to something well, I tend to stick with it. But baby, when I got a hold of this, I was like, oh, immediately yes. The entire line is incredible. And I remember Monique, the founder, first telling me about this, and she was like, "You like the so the line that I was previously using was pomegranate and honey. I think this was pomegranate and honey. It's like the right collection." She was like, I know you like pomegranate and honey, but that's like that's tea. But she was like, Kalahari melon is like the caviar. And I was like, all right, Monique, now you kind of like, girl, you kind of gassing it. Let me be the judge of that. But she kind of ate. I'm not gonna lie, she did. I was like, wow, like this is really, really exceptional. Like I love this collection. I don't like this collection. I freaking love this collection. It's that good.
Yes. And full disclosure, I did my wash and braid out 2-3 days ago with the Kalahari shampoo, which I love, deep conditioner, which I love, and the leave-in spray. So, like, and to your point, like I told Monique, like my favorite product of Myel was that mint conditioner. And I'm sorry, nothing's gonna top that for me. The mint conditioner, but the Kalahari brand and line two is also just as exceptional. So, I mean, when it comes to, partnerships at this level, what is it that makes you say yes to opportunities, and what is it that makes you say no?
I can 100% say becoming a founder myself makes me even more like I was already extremely skeptical in general when it came to working with brands and trying new products, because I think a part of what makes like a good content creator, a good beauty reviewer, is being somewhat like, what you got going on? Like, I'll be the judge of this first. So I was already kind of like a little bit of a skeptic, but now more so that I understand what goes into creating and starting makes me a bit more like picky and particular about who I align myself with. And I think that's also just advice to creators, knowing like how powerful you really are. When you give your stamp of approval to anything and anyone, don't give that away freely. Take that extremely seriously and make brands value that. And nothing's valuable if everyone has it. So if you're giving everything the stamp of approval, it's not valuable. And so, yeah, I can definitely say starting a brand made me even more like thoughtful and conscious of who and what I align myself with, because I still have to dedicate myself to my own brand. So I don't want to give that away willy nilly and freely while I take away, what I'm building on the side. But when it's something like this, like I don't have a hair care brand, it's a completely different category. And it's a line of products that I would have used anyway. It naturally just fits right in like a puzzle piece into my already stacked, because I'm kind of high maintenance, but it already fits right in with my very high maintenance routine. So it just felt, this actually makes sense. And it's a brand I already know and love. And it's a brand that I believe in and a founder I believe in, especially as a woman.
That's important. And if you could also touch on your own entrepreneurial journey and what made you go from, again, working to being a full time content creator to now being a founder.
Well, still being both, because I'm still the creator and now turned founder, but really truly the same need that I wanted to address when I became a content creator, because content creators are a brand in themselves. It's not a consumer packaged goods brand, but it is a brand nonetheless. But at that time, I was filling a void. The void was, I didn't see enough people who look like me. I didn't see enough, like at least I didn't have access to them, but I didn't see enough brown girls, dark skinned girls really like glammed up, like really, really having like a full beat. And so when I started Forever Mood, that's the name of my fragrance brand, Forever Mood, it was basically out of the same need. I had several different pain points I wanted to address. I wanted to create a brand that was like the masstige category. So luxury, but not necessarily super high end luxury, where you're not spending $120 on a candle. Candles is where we started. I wanted to target fine fragrance, but I was like, let's practice with home fragrance first. Let's just see if consumers like my point of view on scent in general. So, from a price point, I wanted to target a masstige customer, not drugstore, but also not so high end that it's like completely out of reach. That's the first thing that I wanted to address. Aesthetically, I wanted products that were pretty to look at. I sometimes feel like the home fragrance industry, I should be specific. I feel like a lot of times the home fragrance industry is either too kitschy, almost kind of borderline camp, or kind of masculine and too cool. And I was like, can we bring back some of like the pretty in home fragrance? Like, I just want something that's aesthetically pleasing and a little bit more pretty. But then from like a brand voice, I wanted to center again women and people who look like me, because when we started Forever Mood, this is 2020. Do we even need to talk about what was going on in 2020? The world was in shambles. I mean, the world's in shambles now, but it was different circumstances of shambles in 2020. And it was very much so a time where I, even for myself, needed to see images of women who look like me being taken care of and relaxing. Because I was like, I don't know what y'all got going on, but I'm not fixing it. I'm gonna be over here lighting a candle and I'm gonna be smelling good, and my house is gonna smell good. And y'all can figure out everything else because I've done my part socially and economically. All right. Matter of fact, I'm superseding my part, what I contribute, especially in the United States. So, yeah, and at that time, I still felt like, as huge as the fragrance industry is, and as much as Black people love to smell good, even our hair products. That's why I like Myel, because everything smells good. But I felt like as much as Black people are obsessed with scent, why are we not a big conversation leader in the fragrance space? Like, I'm confused. We love smelling good. So that was another pain point that I wanted to address. And there were many others, but those were kind of like the overarching themes. And so, yeah, we launched in 2020, but it was really like 2017 was when I first went to my husband. At the time, he was my boyfriend at the time, and I told him like, I really want to start a fragrance brand. Like people didn't at the time know me for fragrance, but that was when I was like, it just feels like something that I really want to do. And then yeah,
Mm,
2020
right.
launched. We
And
went
it's
from
been
there.
so successful, Forever Mood is in Sephora and other stores right now. If you could just, before we wrap up, what advice would you give to aspiring content creators, especially in the beauty industry, who look at your, stellar career and all the, things that you've touched upon and accomplished as a huge content creator, as a founder, as someone who secured, huge brand partnerships, what advice would you give anyone starting today?
I think, and people are probably not going to like this advice, but I think you need to get over the fear of failing because the reality is you might and you need to be okay with that. And even the word fail is subjective. So I failed at other things early in my social media career that then went on to open doors for me in ways that I didn't even think I knew were possible. So if you constantly go into something afraid of like just the idea of failure, then I would say entrepreneurship is just not for you because you have to kind of get over that fear and honestly even be almost a little shameless about it. Like don't be afraid at the idea of potentially being embarrassed, whatever that means, cringe, whatever that means, doing something that other people may not kind of get and still being like, but I still believe in this and I still want to do this and I still feel like you need this and so on and so forth. Like just getting over like you may trip a couple times. You may, but and you need to be okay with that. But they're not necessarily closed doors. They're just like, okay, redirections.
There you go. Jackie, thank you so much for joining me today here on Black Enterprise and everything else that you've been doing throughout your career, being so transparent about it and inspiring just a whole generation of young Black women and letting us know that it's possible. Just look at you.
Thank you.